Hi, I'm Robert, and I wanted to take a few moments to share with you a caution that I have for anyone that's considering bariatric surgery or gastric bypass surgery, what have it, lap band surgery. And I think this main concern that I have is for patients or people that's considering having a gastric bypass surgery. There's a lot of benefits in not being morbidly obese. They talk about high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, yada yada yada. The list kind of goes on. Now they talk about the benefits of limiting your food intake. I call it by force. The Bible says if your appetite offends you, put a knife to your throat. That's kind of what I think of when I hear someone talk about getting a gastric bypass surgery. There, however, is some great side effects or downsides to putting a knife to your throat. One thing that I'd like to point out, and I'm not doing this to try to offend anybody. None of us are perfect. We all have our problems. But most of the time, if you're morbidly obese, it's probably because you have a eating disorder. You like food, food's a hobby, you like large portions, whatever the case may be. Sometime in your life, 9 times out of 10, you were not able to control your appetite, whether it's because of emotional stress or abuse or something that happened there. I would like to propose to you that if you're a person that has a problem controlling your appetite because of some kind of stress or phobia or whatever it may be, it's a problem in your life or a number of problems. Putting a knife to your throat and getting your stomach stable, your stomach removed or whatever, is probably not going to solve your life's problems. I mean, all of these problems are not going to go away. I'm a living witness. My wife did it. My wife was not morbidly obese. She was a healthy woman that was not as thin as a supermodel. She was probably 30, 40 pounds heavier than she wanted to be. Heck, if I wanted to be on the Sports Illustrated swimsuit magazine, or however they perceive as the sexy image, man, that 80% of us are not going to make that, especially if we're over 30, 35. So she struggled with becoming, I guess, very thin, which was not a concern of mine, but was of hers. When she elected to explore the possibilities of having gastric bypass surgery, she knew she didn't qualify because she didn't have the BMI that she needed. So she set out to gain as much weight as she could to meet that BMI requirement. That's not a healthy person, up here. It's just not. You may be experiencing some of those things too. I don't know if you're trying to reach the BMI requirement, but let's just say you're not. Anyway, once you elect to have this surgery, the surgery's done, it was a success, no surgery complications. You are now a person that has dramatically altered your ability to process nutrition. If there's one thing I know about the great US of A, nutrition wise, our food is low on nutrition. So when you're limiting your intake and altering the way your stomach and intestines process the little bit of nutrition you do have, you become a malnourished candidate. A malnourished person has all kind of problems. You know, I would say these problems are more dangerous and harder to combat or control than the problems a obese person has. You know, they have high blood pressure medication, they have this medication and that medication. But if you're not a person that can control your appetite and your food intake before the surgery, you know, I kind of doubt that you're going to be able to control it after your surgery. So now you have to control your intake of food to be an intake of high nutritional value. Well, heck, if you'd have changed your intake before the surgery to be food of high nutritional value, you may not have had an appetite to eat as much. That's just a thought. I'm sorry, I went off the trail there. Anyway, you're post-surgery. Now you're a malnourished candidate. I've read where people have problems, major problems with dental, their teeth, bone deterioration, stuff like that, their teeth falling out. B vitamin shortages, B12, things like that. Their hair's thinning and falling out. There's a number of illnesses that are on the other side of these surgeries that are not being explored or exploited. The number one illness that has struck our home is an illness called Wernicke's encephalopathy. It's more prevalent in countries with malnutrition, but it especially affects people that abuse substance that affect the liver. Alcohol being the main one. A second one is Tylenol. And if you have any other kind of illness that you have to take medication that can affect your liver, you become a candidate for Wernicke's encephalopathy. The thing that gets me most about this illness is that it is seldom diagnosed. When you're dealing with an illness that's seldom diagnosed, you're dealing with an illness that can take off and kill thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of people without any explanation or accountability to how this actually happened. Example of a Wernicke's illness patient. This patient becomes mentally debilitated to make reflex decisions. So you're looking at me, I'm suffering from Wernicke's. I'm a little sluggish, but I'm a grown man. I can go do what I want. I know I need to go to work because I think it's Tuesday, regardless of what day it is. I get in my car, I drive down the road. If someone pulls out in front of me, runs a red light, yellowish light, and my light's green, or I don't see my light turn red, I'm not going to have the ability to make a reflex decision to avoid an accident. Wham! Into a car accident I go, somebody gets killed, I'm disoriented because of the accident, or killed. And they may never figure out that I'm suffering from Wernicke's, and the injuries or death of someone as a result of me being affected with the illness of Wernicke's is tragic and undetected. So another example of somebody that has this illness is somebody that can start to cook. They excuse themselves to go to the bathroom. They're across the house and forget they're cooking, and now the kitchen catches fire. Well, if you burn down a house with 4 people in it, and 1 or 2 people get out and some people don't, and you got this dazed, wandering, smoke inhalated person out in the lawn, you may not suspect that they have Wernicke's, but you may suspect that they have some kind of smoke inhalation problem. And if they die from their lungs being contaminated with smoke inhalation, you may never realize that they also have Wernicke's. What I'm saying is, this illness, people die from this illness, and it's normally related to accidental deaths. I don't have any medical proof other than the fact that my wife is a Wernicke's survivor, that it's very likely that she got this illness, because she had a gastric bypass surgery and abused alcohol and Tylenol. So I'm here to urge you that if you do anything that affects your liver, or drink alcohol, take Tylenol, on some other kind of medication that has liver cautions, you may want to search out information about the illness of Wernicke's encephalopathy before you have a gastric bypass surgery. It's nothing to shake a stick at. And with all of the adjustments and concerns that our country has for obesity, and the wave of people running to the bariatric methods of dealing with it, it could be catastrophic 4-5 years from now. And this is not an illness that sets in quickly after the surgery. So I'm going to caution you to learn more about the other side of the surgery and what illnesses you will become vulnerable to before you have a drastic surgery like a gastric bypass.